Welcome to the X-Verse Monthly podcast. I think we're settled on that now. I think this is going to be a monthly thing. But don't hold me to that. It's a show about the X-Men, the comics, the movies, the TV shows, but mostly the comics. This is episode 3. This is for X-Books in the month of June 2017. We have 15 books to go over, and we're still... I think Astonishing X-Men is still upcoming. So let's just move right into it. Let's start with X-Men Gold 5 and 6. So we're continuing the storyline. Looks like it's called Techno Superior is the name of this particular arc. So in the most recent issues, Gambit had pulled a job for, I believe this is a new character, Olivia Trask. Botched the job up somewhat, stole some nanotechnology that merged with Sentinel tech, and has now itself become kind of a Sentinel. So we're dropped into the middle of this issue, the middle of this the action here, where we've got a Sentinel now who is tearing up Manhattan. And the Gold Crew obviously are trying to stop that from happening. I mean, not a whole lot really happens in this issue. There's a lot of X-Men fighting Sentinels. Kitty phases through this new Sentinel, decimates it, and it, instead of shutting it down like her powers normally work on electronics, usually just make them go haywire and shut down. This actually kind of explodes the Sentinel, I guess, and spreads its little nano bits all over Manhattan. And in the process, Rachel sort of experiences this kind of psychic backlash when Kitty blows up this Sentinel, and they more or less discover that the nanotech is conscious. And apparently, Rachel can affect it, and can be affected herself on a kind of psychic level. The end of the end, this issue ends with them discovering that the Sentinel is basically targeting everybody in Manhattan with any kind of genetic mutation whatsoever, like baldness or eye color, or basically just everybody. So I guess it's a conscious Sentinel, but not very great at discerning. So it doesn't seem like a very smart robot anyway. So we push into part 3 of this storyline. And this is where the book actually starts to get a little bit better. I feel like Gold, for these first 6 issues anyway, has been kind of focused on fairly large set pieces. So lots of big X-Men action, and then plenty of nods to X-Men past. There's a fastball special in issue 5 between Colossus and Kitty. He basically throws her into that Sentinel. So that's great and all. I like it all well enough. But what I like in particular about issue 6 is that Rachel Gray is in kind of I guess it's a coma after that backlash that she experienced when Kitty blew up the Sentinel, and she's having all of these visions, and she has one with herself and her mom, Jean, and essentially what they're focusing on, there's another one with her and Psyche, her dad, and essentially kind of what she's confronting is she's been, I guess, somewhat fearful to sort of go all the way with her powers. And this is, Rachel, she's had kind of a piece of the Phoenix Force with her for a long time and didn't go all psychopath crazy with it. So what's interesting about this is that Rachel is a character who is often, I think, forgotten about in the X-Men books, but by beloved by many, certainly myself as well. And I think what she's starting to confront here is kind of how to distinguish herself from not only her mom and her dad, two just massive figures in X-Men lore. And that's part of why they discuss a little bit about why she's chosen this new name, Prestige, to go by, and it's kind of an attempt to distinguish her distinguish herself from the Gray Summers family line and all of the baggage and all of the legacy that goes with that. So that's awesome to see. The character stuff is great. I think Rachel is an awesome character, and it's nice to see her get a little bit of love in this series. So I'm hoping that Guggenheim will continue to explore that. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be about Rachel the entire time, but to find these moments in these big action movie comics where the characters can kind of come out from behind the walls a little bit and distinguish themselves, and we can explore a little bit more of them. That's what I certainly hope to see more of. So I would say with up to issue 5, I mean, this book has been it's been decent enough. I'm certainly still entertained by it. But with issue 6, maybe now it's gonna kind of come into its own a little bit. And hopefully we'll get to see more of this character exploration. So, with that, I mean, plot wise anyway, Rachel, I guess, kind of unleashes big psychic A-bomb attack against this Sentinel, gets into its head, and I guess shuts it all the way down. It ends with, I guess, Rachel kind of recovering from this attack that she just made, and she's kind of holding her head, and Kurt asks her if she's all right, and she turns and looks at him and says, I don't know. And her eyes like seem to reflect well, in the image of her eyes as she's looking at Kurt, there's a whole bunch of the Marvel heroes, the whole Marvel universe kind of in there. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm definitely curious to see what Guggenheim's going to do with Rachel from this point forward. And then the last page is just some kid walking through kind of the destroyed Manhattan, finds some stuffed animal or whatever, and then we see the Sentinel head is still alive, I guess. So I don't know, maybe we'll see more of this Sentinel in the future. Okay, whatever. I'm actually more interested to see more of Olivia Trask and Lydia Nance, who actually does show up in this as well. I'm kind of hoping we see more of them for sure. Okay, so X-Men Blue 5 and 6. 5, we're wrapping up the story that we started. I think that was in 4, where they meet Jimmy Hudson, Wolverine's Ultimate Universe son, and the issue ends with the new Marauders, I guess, coming to take him back. So we explode into this issue with a massive fight between the Blue crew and the new Marauders, which is entertaining enough in itself. Not a whole lot goes on here. It's just a big fight. But we see Jean meet up with Miss Sinister, who we have not seen in a while, and I guess she's still a separate entity from Mr. Sinister, like sort of a clone, but now kind of her own personality. I think the last time we saw her with any sort of significant role was back in Marjorie Liu's run on X-23. So she still has certainly very sinister tendencies. She basically reveals to Jean in this issue that there was a whole bunch of different universes, and there are mutants from these different universes, and the mutants from the Ultimate Universe are different in some way that I guess she sort of is exploring and can't really figure out, but they're different from the mutants in what is the 616 universe. So that's, I guess, why she's put them together. And that's why they're so interested in getting Jimmy back. So that's interesting enough, I guess. I mean, I like Miss Sinister. She's a fun villain. So it's cool to see her again. But essentially, I mean, the issue ends with them just the Miss Sinister and the Marauders essentially just decide to give up on trying to take Jimmy back, because her telepathy, or her attempt to erase Jimmy's mind, it just doesn't work as well on him, I guess, because healing factor, whatever. So they take Jimmy back to Madripoor, where their HQ is, with Magneto, and basically, I guess, are gonna adopt him as a member of the team. All right, fine. I guess Jimmy's sticking around for the foreseeable future. I, like I keep saying, I feel like we have more than enough of a Wolverine presence. So I'm not super excited about another version of Wolverine in another X-Men comic, but Cullen Bunn. So anyway, that's issue 5. Well, issue 6 I actually liked a lot better. And I think because it's so like it starts out pretty low key, where Jean is just sort of they're hanging around in HQ in Madripoor, and Jean's just bored. There's a huge like festival full of fireworks and stuff going on outside. So she ends up taking Jimmy and Hank out on the town, and they're just kind of hanging out at this big festival in Madripoor. It's really it's really enjoyable, because they're not doing anything. They're just sort of hanging around, taking a break. And then of course, they discover that now there's a crew in Madripoor. So there's a scene where there's some drug dealers trying to sell MGH, mutant growth hormone, to somebody else, and then this other group of people kind of come out of the shadows and beat their asses. And they get into kind of a fight with with Jimmy, and then with Jean and Hank as well, of course, because that's how you meet everybody when you're an X-Men. I mean, that's basically that's a handshake. If you get into a big fucking fight with them, now that's just like saying hello. So this new group of people, who the leader who has a patch, I guess they've actually fashioned themselves after Patch, Wolverine's sort of alternate ego personality in his solo comic way back in the day, when he was hanging out in Madripoor. That's who he was known as, and wore an eye patch and everything, which an absolutely great series of comics. So this group of kids have I guess looked to him as a hero, and they call themselves the Raksha. And man, there are some names here. So we've got Norio, which, all right, fine. And then Gazing Nightshade, one of the most emo names I've ever heard for a freaking mutant. Next to Whisper Doll, not a bad attempt in the same vein. And then Hexadecimal, because I don't know, whatever. So getting to know these people, they seem to have kind of an X-Force mentality with respect to protecting mutants and keeping drugs like MGH off the streets. So it's clear there's going to be a relationship between these two groups, between Blue and then now the Raksha. So I guess we'll see particularly under like Magneto's tutelage, how the two may influence each other going forward here. But this was a great issue, particularly for just the kind of quiet sort of character moments with the three X-Men kind of just hanging out in this big festival. And then and the same with Gold. I like seeing these new characters. I like seeing the Raksha. I like seeing characters like Olivia Nance, or Lydia Nance, I'm sorry, and Olivia Trask. It feels like we're building, as many callbacks, I guess, as there are to the X-Men's past, to that legacy stuff. It's nice to see these newer characters. I kind of feel like they're building a future at the same time. So far with this line of X-Men comics, I feel like there's a reasonable balance between nostalgia and then building a future for these books and this franchise to move into. All right, let's go into Weapon X. So we're this Weapon X, actually number 4, and then we'll do Weapons of Mass Destruction, Weapons of Mutant Destruction. Jesus, sorry. So Weapon X number 4, the prelude to the crossover between Weapon X and Totally Awesome Hulk, which is called Weapons of Mutant Destruction. So Weapon X4, you've got Domino, Old Man Logan, Sabretooth, and Hulk. They are attacking the facility, this sort of ocean-based facility where this new Weapon X project has been operating and is has captured and has taken hold of Warpath and Lady Deathstrike. So that's who they're going. That's who they're anyway going in to rescue. And I kind of love like these comics and what Greg Pak has been doing with this series so far. It's just like it's so straightforward that it's pretty fun. There's not a whole ton of super complicated like character stuff, or the plot's like really simple. I mean, they're just going in to blow the shit out of this facility, rescue their friends, and get the hell back out. So it's fun. It's Black Ops. It's action packed. It's an X-Force comic. It's a great deal of fun. So obviously they get into the facility. They free both Warpath and Lady Deathstrike, and then they get the hell out. When they do that, the whoever command is Weapon X command, I guess, they actually just end up blowing the entire facility up with the scientists that they've hired. Which, I mean, goddamn, these scientists, like, are they hard up for cash? You go and you get all of that schooling. You become probably, I would assume, like one of the leaders in genetic science, and then you hook up with this crew where you're capturing mutants against their will and doing experiments on them. I mean, are there no other job opportunities for these scientists? How do they not expect that if something goes south, they're probably pretty expendable in the grand scheme of things, and that their bosses back home on the mainland are fine with, blowing up the entire facility, because that's that's what's at risk. So I don't know. It'd be interesting if like they explored their backstory a little bit. Like, you're a scientist, man. Why are you out here like in the middle? Like, you need the money that bad? I mean, what is the? I don't know. Maybe student loan debt just getting out of control. Anyway, Weapons of Mutant Destruction number 1, the beginning, I guess the official beginning of this crossover. I really enjoy this issue. So they've now, like, 4 issues into Weapon X, now the crew's been put together. Old Man Logan, Warpath, Domino, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, and Hulk is kind of along sort of for the ride here. But this is fun. What I like about this issue in particular is the dynamic that kind of begins to develop on the team, where Sabretooth is really concerned that Warpath and Domino don't really have what it takes to be on this kind of a crew. It's sort of it's more or less a kill team. I mean, it's not really that explicit as it was in the Kyle Yost X-Force, but Sabretooth is kind of giving them shit. Warpath and Domino are like, fuck you. What do you know about anything? And so that dynamic has been kind of fun. And then the plan here, they are going to go to a facility Hulk has basically traced the fluid, I guess, that the mutants were being held in. He traced like the shipment registers or whatever. So that gave them another location essentially to go to and investigate. And it ends up splitting the team up. So Logan splits the team up with and has Domino stick with Sabretooth. And then Amadeus Cho go with Lady Deathstrike, which is kind of an interesting combination since he is a nice kid and she is a insane killer. But the way Logan kind of explains that is he's kind of matching people up so they sort of take the edge off each other. Lady Deathstrike, or maybe Lady Deathstrike adds a little more edge to Amadeus, whereas Amadeus kind of helps smooth out maybe Lady Deathstrike's interactions with people. So Yuriko and Amadeus are investigating, or they've got a lead as to a kid who got involved with this program, and like kind of fallen under the influence of Reverend Stryker and his whole anti-mutant ideology, and he volunteered for this program to I guess become kind of a weapon to become something that's capable of fighting against mutants. So Stryker has developed this relationship with these scientists who are running these experiments, who are doing basically this, who are basically running this Weapon X operation. And I actually really like the head scientist in this. Is, I mean, she's clearly pretty harsh, pretty heartless, and she's fine with just collecting up mutants and using them, I mean, basically as raw material, as resources for her experiments. So she's talking to Stryker and saying, look, we need more to work with. We need more recruits. We need more people to work with to develop this weapon. And as she's talking to Stryker, I mean, she's saying, like, we don't care that they're volunteers. They're whether they're willing to do it or not doesn't really matter as far as the science is concerned. We just need you to give us more people. And I really like Stryker's response to this, because it shows like that he's such he's so wrapped up in his hatred of mutants that he thinks it's this spiritual pursuit, that it's something legit and noble. And his response is, that we're fighting monsters here, referring to mutants, but we're not becoming them. And I don't know. I like that. I like that line, that he's just genuinely crazy. Not heartless, not without compassion. Because obviously he loves humans, and just hates mutants and finds them just a mortal threat to himself and his race. So I don't know. I enjoy that scene. So we end anyway with this kid is they start the experiment, I guess, on this kid, and I don't know if they're building like a clawed Hulk or something like that. I mean, that seems to be what's on the cover anyway. But we'll see where we go from here. This has been fun, and I actually like, Marvel has stated that they're not going to do like any giant events or anything, but obviously we've got these crossovers, and these I enjoy these little crossovers. They don't seem to happen, actually, honestly, all that much. But I've always sort of liked it, dipping into another book. And in this instance, it's totally Awesome Hulk for this series. Something I would never ever read. Which, I mean, that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to sell more books, obviously, but it's fun too. I mean, I like these little crossovers. Okay, let's go to Iceman 1 and 2. Holy crap. An Iceman ongoing solo, not a limited series. He's got his own solo. Is it any good? Yeah. I'm surprised at how much I actually enjoyed this book. It starts out with just so old Bobby, I guess, and young Bobby hanging out together. It's interesting that among the X-Men, these are the only two that seem to have like a decent relationship with each other. It's almost kind of father-son-ish, but you don't see that with Hank and his alter ego, and definitely not Warren and his young version. It's just the two Bobbies here that seem to actually like get along with each other and like each other well enough. And I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense for Bobby Drake to kind of be like that. So in the issue, Bobby goes and visits his dad, who's in the hospital. I don't really remember why. And then some, again with these villains, some purifier in like a football helmet shows up, and he's attacking a mutant by himself. He's attacking some mutant in this hospital, and so Iceman's got to deal with that, and he knocks him out and whatever. It's a fairly fun issue. I mean, again, we're dealing with a villain who has no just insane. Like, I don't know where the rest of his, usually the purifiers are hanging out with each other, and he's just all by himself on this. I don't know what is going through his head, but whatever. So Iceman takes him out. They rescues this mutant, and directs her to the Xavier Institute, and that's basically where the issue ends. The way the issue is framed, though, I actually really enjoy it. Bobby is signing up for a dating site. He's trying to get out there and I guess explore what it is to be, openly homosexual now. So the way it's framed is he's trying to like come up with a profile for himself. Describe yourself in 500 words or less. That's sort of how the issue begins, and that's sort of the arc that the narration kind of takes on, and as he's sort of, I guess, realizing how complicated his life is as a mutant, as an X-Man, as a gay man, as a son, all of this kind of stuff. The issue ends with him just creating whatever that little text emoji, I don't give a fuck, whatever text emoji with the arms out. It's a great way to end the issue. It's a perfect goddamn summary for Bobby Drake for sure. Cause whatever. He's always been a fun character. So that's issue 1. Issue 2. Issue 2. I mean, they just launch right into it. So we all know Kitty and Bobby dated for about 12 minutes, I think. God, I think that was during Wolverine and the X-Men, Jason Aaron's run. And there was nothing there that was such a short relationship. So anyway, the for this issue, they're together to take the Blackbird out to go rescue yet another new mutant. And the plane goes down. Actually ends up being due to this new mutant's powers. They go into like some store, I don't know, I guess it's like a Walmart or something like that, and there's a gang of humans who are terrified of this kid because he's screwing up all their stuff. I guess his power is that he just makes technology go insane, makes everything go insane actually, because it ends up affecting Kitty and Iceman's powers as well. So in this issue, they've got to protect this kid, and they're trying to rescue him from these humans who are trying to beat his ass. The issue is like pretty fun. The interaction between Bobby and Kitty is pretty entertaining for the most part. There's kind of a weird, awkward twist in that Bobby builds an ice wall. They're temporarily safe from these humans who are trying to get into it, who are trying to get to this kid. And then they have the talk. Then they have the talk about, Kitty's like, holy shit, why did I have to find out from Gold Balls that you're, that you're actually gay? And Bobby's like, I don't know, man. Kitty's like obviously a little upset that, they had a relationship with each other and he never told her. And I mean, clearly what she's upset about is that she thinks that like he didn't feel, like he could tell her this about himself, and that he's closed off, I guess, in that respect, to her. And what I love about Bobby's reaction, and this has been adult Bobby's reaction to the fact that he's got to deal like with his younger self, who's already come out. I mean, who's already basically told everybody, yeah, I'm gay. So that means that the adult version of me is too, and has been hiding it for decades now. So the way Bobby is handling that, God, it's classic Bobby fashion, and it's so freaking perfect. So he's got to defend himself now from Kitty, who's kind of attacking him for keeping this hidden from her, because why can't you open up to me? I care about you and all that stuff. And fine, which is a totally legit position for Kitty to take. And Bobby's like, his line is, he's explaining all the insane stuff, obviously, that they've been going through. I mean, Kitty's been in space. She was married to Peter Quill for a while, and then in space at the same time. And then the fact that he's having to deal with his teenage self in this current timeline. The fact that he's going to have to figure out how to tell his parents about this as well. it's just a lot clearly that he's going on. And his line is, so yeah, I'm sorry I opted to avoid having a hard and exhausting conversation with you about this. And it's like, God, that's such a human response when he's dealing with all of this shit, and instead of tackling it head on and having every goddamn conversation with everybody in his life who has ever meant something to him, just says fuck it, and moves forward with his life. He's gay. That's how it is. And we don't need to have necessarily this massive emotional conversation with everybody in his life about that. So, I I just like he's such a, like, this is such a strong character. I think Bobby personally is an exceptionally strong character and an exceptionally strong person for being able to handle this kind of stuff and still like retain a sense of humor, and not just go into emotional breakdown territory with it. So the way that the writing on this, I think, has been just fantastic. It's so much fun, and it also feels really honest at the same time. I mean, this if this is the way it is, if Bobby's been hiding this secret for a long time and now he's having to deal with it, it feels like this is how Bobby Drake would handle this issue. So I'm really surprised at how much I am liking Iceman, this solo series so far. The writing has been just top notch, I think, in these first two issues. And this is what's so great about having, God, like I said, I mean, we've got 15 X books this month, but this is why it's so great, is that we can afford to have books like these that take the time to explore the X-Men as characters more, and avoid, just moving from, one action set piece to another. When we only had like Extraordinary, Uncanny, and All New, there just wasn't a lot of time to do anything with the characters themselves. And I mean, a book like Iceman, this feels very character focused. And it's fun to see. It's certainly, I mean, it's not a character I would have picked to have a solo. But it's been so great, and I'm happy that we've got it. It's definitely been a very fun read. Okay, Old Man Logan number 25. So we've switched writers. We've moved on from Jeff Lemire, who I actually really enjoyed his run on this book, all 24 issues. Now we are with Ed Brisson. I don't know, Brisson? I have no idea how to say his name. So Days of Anger Part 1. I don't entirely understand what is going on with this issue. So I'm not all that familiar with, or I don't know, I guess, to how full the sort of Old Man Logan universe is. I know that there was the Hulk gang, and I know that that his family was killed by them. I think it was by them, and then he goes on a tear across the country. So I know that. I don't know how much development there has been of the Hulk gang past that. I just read Old Man. I haven't read anything else, if there is actually anything else. So this issue, I believe we're still in the 616. And it turns out that the Hulk gang is here too. Now, I guess they somehow hopped the dimension as well. I guess they sort of hopped the same portal that Logan apparently got caught in when all the universes merged, and then I guess came apart. So the Hulk gang's here in the 616. That's essentially this issue. That's essentially what this is all about. And Logan's gonna have to deal with them. I don't have a whole lot to say about it beyond that. It was entertaining enough. I mean, I guess it's interesting that he's gonna have to confront them yet again in the 616 universe now. So okay. I mean, I'm along for the ride. There's not really a whole lot to say. The big surprise is the Hulk gang is here, and Logan's gotta deal with them. It looks like there's kind of an interesting family dynamic going on with the Hulk gang. There's one that maybe is a little bit less hulky than the rest, or a little bit less, at least, totally, completely villainous than the rest. So we'll see where it goes. Hopefully, this gets a little bit more interesting as it moves forward. But yeah, I know I'm gonna miss Jeff Lemire on this series because I really enjoyed what he was doing with the character. So hopefully, Brisson will be able to fill those shoes. Uncanny Avengers number 24. So I know it has Avengers in the title, but it also has Uncanny in the title. So is it an X book or an Avengers book? I consider this an X book. Dugan. So we've got a writing change on this book as well. Dugan did the first 24 or 23, I guess, issues of this series, and I really liked, for a while, I kind of this was during Extraordinary and All New and Uncanny, and I kind of felt like Uncanny Avengers was maybe the best X book. That was the one that I was having the most fun with. You had Rogue, you had Cable, you had Quicksilver. I actually really liked the Inhuman on this team, Synapse. I'm not a huge Dr. Voodoo. I don't know what to think of Dr. Voodoo, whatever. But and Deadpool. I mean, there's a lot of X people on this team, and I love Rogue. Who doesn't love Rogue? So issue 24. This is Jim Zub, who actually also wrote. We'll talk about Secret Empire in a second. So this is his first issue on this book, and I guess we're in this. I have not been reading the Secret Empire event that's going on right now, so I guess this is the Captain America as a bad guy event and has taken over the entire United States and renamed sections of the country, I guess. So Manhattan, I don't know why, has a big bubble around it, some sort of dark force, magic, whatever. I don't know what it is. So there's a bunch of people trapped inside of it, and the Uncanny Avengers are one of those groups of people trapped inside. Quicksilver's actually outside of it, and I guess trying to figure out how to get in. I don't know. So they're fighting a bunch of weird demon creatures. Again, I don't know why. And they're essentially just trying to rescue anybody who's trapped inside of this bubble. And there's also, of course, criminals. What have we got? The Shocker and Scorpia here, who are taking this opportunity to, I don't remember. Maybe they're robbing a bank. I don't remember what they're doing. But of course, I mean, so Rogue ends up confronting them and fighting them, and then Jericho, Dr. Voodoo, is trying to figure out what to do about this giant bubble. So he uses his voodoo magic to do whatever, and then at the end of the issue, he gets possessed by, I guess, whatever this mystical energy is made up of, but he's clearly possessed. So, not a totally intelligent review of this issue. I understand. I'm pretty sure there's a lot that I'm missing in this Secret Empire arc. I don't know what the source of any of this stuff is, but entertaining issue enough. It's nice to see Rogue assert kind of a leadership position with the Uncanny Avengers. And again, it kind of makes it feel more like an X book to me to see her kind of directing the team's actions as they fight these weird demons and try to rescue people in the process. So that I certainly appreciate about this book. And it's always kind of interesting just to see the Human Torch on this team. He's kind of a weird outlier, I feel like, but I mean, he fits well enough, but he does kind of feel like an orphan. It's really sad that the Fantastic Four aren't around. I gotta say that they were what was so great about the Fantastic Four is that's such a like it's a literal family, that whole team. I mean, they are really a family. And so it's kind of sad to see the Human Torch away from them, because he does feel like kind of an orphan. And, he fits well enough on this team and everything, but I don't know. It's just a little sad. So anyway, that's Uncanny Avengers. Let's go to, Secret Empire United 1, a tie-in to the Secret Empire event. Why does this book mean anything? Well, when it was originally solicited, the cover art for it was the image of where you see Magic uppercutting Hydra Dude. That was Emma. That was Emma when this book was originally solicited. So you see that, and this is going to be our first glimpse of the White Queen after the Inhumans versus X-Men event. So that's why this book means something. So I was really excited to see what the hell was going on here. So I guess the premise here is the mutants have been given like a section of California called New Shan. I'm guessing that's how it's pronounced, New Shan. And it's like their own little sort of House of M, I guess, their own little sort of empire or country. It's apparently an independent state that the mutants are ruling over. And Zorn is at the head of it and surrounded by Sebastian Shaw, Angel, Archangel. I don't know. I'm not 100% what's going on with Warren here, but he's there. And then Beast, Hank McCoy is a part of this as well, which is a little curious. But anyway, there's an attack. You see kind of a reverse in the beginning few pages of the human mutant dynamic where some human gets picked on basically for not being a mutant, and then cops come along and blame the human for it. I mean, it's whatever. So it's just a reverse. And then Sunfire, Frenzy, and Random show up and just start attacking people at random. I think they're protesting Hydra. But this is what so they're pissed off at Hydra. But my understanding is that Zorn is ruling New Shan independent of Hydra, or at least that's what's supposed to be going on. So I don't know if the theory here is that they think, mutants need to band together, or people need to band together to fight Hydra, even though Hydra doesn't maybe technically have control of New Shan. I don't know. It doesn't matter, because as we'll find out, essentially there's just a shitload of mind control going on all throughout this series. So Steve has a meeting with the Council of Doom. I don't know. This is this is basically Hydra Command, or this is the fucking government of the United States of America in this series now. It's just a bunch of villains. They're all pissed off about this attack that took place on the border between New Shan and I guess Hydra Nation, whatever they're calling it. And they're saying that, the mutants are getting out of control. We need to smash them, take them all the way down, I guess is the argument here. So they're captured. So Sunfire's captured by Hydra and taken to a Hydra prison. Sebastian Shaw and Zorn decide that they need to rescue them, and so they decide they're going to put together a team to go rescue Sunfire, and the team Sebastian decides to pick is Magic, Boom Boom, Strong Guy, and Marrow. Excellent group of people. And Marrow, who we haven't, I don't know when the last time is that we saw Marrow, but I always kind of liked her. She has a ridiculous power with the bone blades or knives or whatever. But she's great. So Magic casts a spell. It's gonna make everybody invisible so they can, I guess, walk into Hydra prison and free Sunfire. I have always kind of it's always kind of bothered me when people write spells like, the incantations, and they're just kind of generic rhymes. I don't know why. I just feel like it's lame. Like, because it rhymes, it's a spell. Like, that's what makes it an incantation, really. I always felt like, I don't know, it was just annoying. I just don't like it. Whatever. Not that it matters. So anyway, team goes into the prison. Turns out they are easily detected despite Magic's spell. And so they have to square off against Scarlet Witch. I don't know what the hell is going on in Secret Empire. But so the description here is Scarlet Witch, currently possessed by the spirit of Chthon, elder god of evil. I don't know why. Vision, who is under Hydra control, have no idea why. Taskmaster, that makes sense. Taskmaster, good God. And then Deadpool. I don't know what the hell Deadpool is doing here. It's weird. Actually, shit. Does that make any sense? Deadpool was in the Uncanny Avengers, but now he's with Hydra because Captain America, like I said, guys, I don't know what's going on with Secret Empire. So They fight. They manage to rescue Sunfire, and they get the hell out of there. But the big reveal here, so this is a fun issue. Overall, I mean, the plot is, mutants get captured by Hydra, other mutants have to go in and break them out. Fun. Prison breaks are always fun. So Captain America goes to confront Zorn about this issue, and then Zorn dismisses Beast, dismisses Angel, dismisses Sebastian. So it's just the two of them in this room together. And out from behind the throne steps Emma Frost. This is our first glimpse of her since Inhumans versus X-Men. She's ditched the black uniform and gone back to the classic white. So it's clear from this point that I guess she's taken Zorn's mind. I guess she's controlling Zorn here. And she's ruling New Shan from behind the scenes, obviously. And she reveals to Cap that the attack on Hydra at the border by Sunfire and Random and Frenzy was orchestrated actually by Hydra, I guess, as a way to maybe challenge Captain America's authority over them. So it turns out it's a double cross. Great, whatever. What's more exciting is Emma Frost. That she's here. That she's. I don't know what her plan is really. I really love the idea of Emma ruling over a nation of mutants. But I guess we'll see what certainly they have plans for her moving forward, and I know we're gonna see her in more detail. She's got like a stronghold and everything in New Shan, and I think that's going to be dealt with in upcoming issues of X-Men Blue in particular. I think that's where it's going to be. So it'll be really exciting to see what's going on with her. I mean, God, there is no shortage of mixed feelings when it comes to what's been going on with Emma, especially post Inhumans versus X-Men, because a lot of us, myself in particular, feel like her character she was kind of thrown under the bus in that event, and her decision at the end of that series to when she just starts attacking Inhumans kind of out of the blue. I mean, when the asinine conflict at the heart of that event is more or less resolved, that she still like turns it up to 11 and she's killing Inhumans kind of at random. That felt so distinctly unlike the Emma Frost that we've seen. I mean, since she became an X-Man, more or less. I mean, since all the way back when she was in the original volume of Generation X. I mean, that's just so counter to her character, and really, really infuriating for those of us who love her. If there's an explanation for that, I guess my hope is that because she and Cyclops shared such a strong bond with each other, that they had a kind of psychic rapport as well, and that was similar to what Cyclops shared with Jean Grey, that when he died, because they were so close, that maybe that took a part of her, that took a big part of her and affected her very deeply on a very deep psychic level, and that she's just kind of gone temporarily crazy. And if that's, I hope that's to some degree at least the explanation behind this, because Emma as villain on a permanent basis does not make any damn sense to me at all. Even on a long-term basis does not make any sense to me. She's such an excellent character. And I think to turn her into just mustache twirling bad guy, God, that's such a disservice to the work that's been done on that character over all these years. So let's hope this is temporary. Let's hope that we find some redemption for Emma Frost here, hopefully in upcoming issues of X-Men Blue. I mean, yeah, she's cold and yeah, she's harsh, but she's also a fucking teacher. I mean, that's the thing that's always been so interesting about her as a character, that she has this kind of this cold-hearted, villainous relationship with other people. But that she's always been a teacher. Like, she's always cared about mutants, especially young mutants. She's always had this instinct to protect and to guide them into the future, despite how cold and off-putting she can be to other people. That's what makes her, that conflict, that's one of the things that makes her such an interesting character. So let's hope that we haven't lost all of that just to make the Inhumans look good. All right. I'm not gonna go all insane on the Inhumans versus X-Men event. Let's just push through. Let's go to Generation X number 3. Guys, god damn it. This is my favorite book. I was gonna say this is my favorite book. I don't expect everyone to agree with that. I'm super biased, but I really like this book. I really like what Christina Strain has been doing on this. So this issue we just opened with Nature Girl, who's talking to a seal. The fact that she's talking at all is kind of a surprise. Every time we've seen her in the past, she's always been super quiet. So iBoy notices that she's talking and strikes up a conversation with her. And it seems like now it's kind of clear why maybe Nature Girl not only doesn't talk to people, but why maybe we don't really want to talk to Nature Girl very much. She's kind of a bee a little bit. So she finds out she can talk to, I guess, anything. It's mutant powers. Goddamn, they never make sense. And what's great is actually Quentin kind of says that in this issue. But so Nature Girl, she's having this conversation with the seal. And then she tells iBoy and Nathaniel, who's a new character who's hanging out with iBoy there, that the trees have seen an attack in the park. So Nathaniel asks the logical question: did the trees see who did this? And Nature Girl, I guess, reveals now to the entire world that trees are fucking total racists, and that humans all look the same to them. Dangerous. And it turns out they're direct. They find out where the attack happened, and they find the victim, who is Face, who we also haven't seen in a long time. One of the Hellfire babies. Is that what they were called? I don't remember. Inferno babies. One of the Inferno babies. So they find him. He's all knocked out and unconscious. So we cut back to the school from here. Bling confronts Jonathan. Confronts a Chamber, and she's all like, "Why am I stuck with this fucking D-list of X-Men? The misfits, the kids who probably aren't going to grow up to be X-Men." Because Bling, and this is something that like anybody who's, I'm sure, reading this book has been questioning. Like, Bling's clearly capable and clearly wants to be a superhero in the vein of the X-Men. So she's looking to be part of Jonathan's class here, and he just says, you were chosen for a reason. We'll see what that reason is, I guess. But it's nice. It's nice to see like that's being recognized. That like it's a little weird that Bling is part of Jubilee's team when she should probably be groomed, to be an X-Man. So from there we move to Quentin, Benjamin, I think, and then Pixie hanging out, and Benjamin and Pixie are playing video games together. And you guys know this. I mean, you know this by now. Episode 3 of this show. This fucking page is all I want to see. Just these kids hanging out, playing video games, doing whatever with each other. That's really all I want to see at the end of the day, because I love these characters so much, and seeing them interact with each other. I mean, that's where these books really come alive for me. Anyway, Face is brought into the medical, the medical bay, I guess. So Nathaniel's there, and his power is to like, he can like touch people and have like sort of a clairvoyant experience of their memories, I guess, is how it works. And even Benji's asking the question, like, how does that even make sense? And Quentin's response is, don't hurt yourself over there. Don't hurt yourself overthinking. It's most powers don't, which is true. Most powers don't really make a lot of sense. So and Nathaniel's got a real hard time with this because when he touches people and goes through this process of experiencing their memories, he experiences everything sort of right alongside them. So it's a very empathic power. So he's wrestling with that, whatever. and then finally does it, touches face, figures out what's going on, and knows where to go. They've got to go. They're gonna have to go to these caves under Central Park. I guess this is where this menace that attacked Face is hiding. So so the crew, so one by one, the crew's kind of like, I'm going. So Boy's like, let's go tell Jubilee and let's get this taken care of. And Bling's like, fuck that, we're going on our own. We're gonna take care of this ourselves. Nathaniel jumps in. He's like, I saw this happen, so I want to go too. Boy's down. Quentin's ready to go too, probably mostly because he's just bored and wants something to do. Nature Girl wants to go because she likes caves. I like this. I like Quentin's reaction after everybody's kind of chimed in and said they're gonna go. Everybody except Benji. Quentin's like, that settles it. Benji, you're in also. Benji just gets volunteered. And then they go off. This is one of the things I've liked about this book is that this is kind of the misfit crew. And I think Quentin kind of summarizes that pretty perfectly on the last panel here. So I'm excited to see where they go. I'm not so sure about some of these costume choices, especially Boy's kind of weird throwback to Cyclops, but whatever. It works well enough for me. So yeah, I really like this series. I think Christina Strain's got a solid command of the individual voices of these characters, and watching them interact with each other has been just a pleasure. Just 3 issues into this series. So if this is the tone, if this is what this series is going to be like going forward, I hope it lasts a long fucking time. All right, let's go to all new Wolverine number 21. This is the last issue of the Immune storyline. So the alien virus that's taken over or infected all of Roosevelt Island, that it's all under quarantine, and they've discovered that Laura can heal or can destroy this virus just by touching people who are infected. A pretty simplistic process, I guess. So she can touch these people. The virus is attracted to her healing factor, which again is weird, I guess, like moths to a flame. But they'll attack her healing factor, and her healing factor will kill off the virus. So all right. So she's trying to do all of this herself, and obviously the infected people they're getting a little bit out of control with it, and they start attacking Laura because they all want to be healed. So Gabby rushes in, and she wants to help Laura as well, and then the other members of the Wolverine family show up. So Old Man Logan shows up. Daken? I think I've heard Daken, and I've heard Daken. Wolverine's son in the 616 universe. This is not a character that I have ever enjoyed. I didn't read his book when it was going alongside Marjorie Liu's X-23. I of course read their little brief crossover, and that was fine and all, but Daken's not a character that has ever remotely interested me. And Logan killed him, and I think that was in Uncanny X-Force, maybe. I don't remember where that was, so I haven't seen him since then. I don't know what's going on there. I assume, but I know we're gonna see more of him. I can't say I'm a little disappointed to see him show up. They just keep adding Wolverines. I don't know. Marvel's not listening to me. Apparently Marvel doesn't respect my feelings, guys. That's the only conclusion that I can come to on this. We're way over the limit. We're way over Midget Radio's limit of Wolverine related characters. Good God. So let's just move past it. I'm going to try to get over the fact that Marvel doesn't respect me. So Deadpool's here as well. They all join up to begin healing this entire island. Claws out and ready to go. There's a brief kind of weird part in this issue where there are a bunch of hostages in a building. I wasn't 100% why there were hostages in a building on an island that is quarantined. I don't know. They were just sort of barricaded in this building. Anyway, they get the crew heals about as much of everyone they possibly can. People are falling down one by one. So Gabby falls, Logan falls, Deadpool falls. It's all, it gets to be too much for their healing factors, and they all collapse. And then the series ends with Laura, of course, she wants to heal everybody, and Ironheart's like, no, man, you're going to kill yourself. And Laura's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do it. And then the issue ends with Laura practically skeletal, I guess, by the end of the series. I highly doubt this is the end of Laura. We'll see where it goes. Again, this has been a great book overall. This has been the weakest story. This quarantined storyline is the weakest arc so far of this series. So I'm glad we're moving past it. I'm glad we're at the end of it, and hopefully we'll be moving into something a little bit more interesting with the next issue. But whatever. That's all new Wolverine. All right, Jean Grey number 3. Jean is having to deal with the Phoenix Force. So last issue, she talked to Rachel, Colossus, Ileana, Quentin, all people who have hosted the Phoenix Force at one time or another. And now she's going to go talk to Namor. And she's interested in talking to Namor because he seems to be the only person who's hosted a Phoenix and not completely lost his freaking mind since that time. It's a pretty fun issue. It's all underwater. She meets up with Namor. Of course, they end up fighting a big dragonfish. I don't know what the fuck this thing is. I hate all sea life anyway. So this is exactly the kind of thing I would expect to find in the ocean. And of course it's hostile. And they end up killing it at the end of the issue. So great for them. I totally support the death of ocean life. Anyway, as Jean's talking to Namor, she discovers that Namor was certainly more affected by the Phoenix than he has ever let on, which is a nice reveal. Namor, who's a very proud, very strong, and extremely arrogant character, who does not want to recognize the fact that the Phoenix has hurt him as badly as it is. It adds a little dimension to Namor as a character. Which is great to see. And the issue ends with Jean taking out this goddamn sea dragon, and Namor telling her, what if you try to fight it? What if you try to fight the Phoenix and defeat it? Maybe. So that's what Jean's gonna confront, I guess, moving forward. So not a bad issue. I'm still enjoying this series pretty well. I do kind of want to move past the Phoenix stuff, though. I kind of hope that either it's a constant thing that she's dealing with, but sort of in the background, or the Phoenix comes, she drop kicks it back into space, or maybe like Rachel, like her daughter, can actually hold on to a piece of it and not go fucking ballistic crazy and destroy an entire goddamn solar system full of people. That would be cool too. But I just like to see this series explore other aspects of Jean's personality and her history. She's a rich character. She's more than just the Phoenix Force. So I'm hoping that we get to see that as the series progresses. Okay, guys, we are at the last issue for the month of June, Cable number 2. So Cable's still pursuing this dude through the timeline, and we actually start out where dude shows up in feudal Japan, tries to strike a deal with the emperor. He wants to give the emperor these awesome weapons, and I guess he needs the emperor's help, like finding the next location that he needs to time jump from. I'm not sure really what's going on here. But we get to at least see this guy's face. And so Cable has a big fight with the Japanese dudes that he met at the end of the last issue. Manages to have one of them take him to where bad guy time jumped again, gets to that location. And now time jumps into, I guess this is ancient Mayan territory. And they've all got, instead of like pixel swords, they have pixel wings. This is this series so far, and I swear this is so typical for Cable storylines, his solo series in general. God, especially the one during the Messiah years when we had Kyle Yost X-Force, and then we had Cable, who was time jumping with Hope, basically trying to run away from Bishop because Bishop wanted to take out Hope. So it's just so light on plot. I mean, issue number 1 and issue number 2 are almost exactly the same structurally, except that we get to see who this guy is that Cable's chasing around. I have no idea. We have no idea why he's being chased. Don't know anything really behind this storyline. It's just been a chase from issue 1 to 2. So it's fine. You know, your mileage may vary with this particular series. This is it, again, it is James Robinson. So he's a great writer. So I definitely have faith in where this is going. But I get it. I mean, 1 to 2 issues in and really not a whole lot going on except for this chase with weird pixel weapons. I don't know, whatever. Overall, I'm fine with it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it well enough. But it is definitely, we're certainly going to need to, I think, a little bit more content here to keep this book going forward. And I'm hoping a little bit that it's kind of alien to Cable as a character, because he's such I mean, Jesus, the first issue even really establishes this. I mean, he's such a kind of Old West type of character that you really can't get too personal, or you can't do a lot of exploration with Cable, like who he is as an actual person, especially because his history is so effed up. Like, he has such a complicated backstory. It's just absurd. And I don't know that we've ever seen anything like that. I don't even know when we had X-Man, when we had young Nate Gray running around, and then old Cable at the same. I don't even know if they really ever even interacted with each other. I don't remember. That was like way back in the 90s, I think early 2000s maybe. But yeah, I did anyway. Cable, never really a whole lot of character exploration there. Maybe James Robinson will break the mold on that. I don't know. He certainly hasn't with the first 2 issues so far, though. But not a disappointment. It's a Cable book. What do you expect? All right, y'all. That is episode number 3 of the X-Verse Monthly. Man, 15 books, you guys. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a lot of reading and it's a lot of money, but it's great overall so far. I'd love to hear for anybody who listens to this show and actually makes it to the end. I'd love to hear thoughts, opinions on what Resurrection has been so far for you. I think it's been great. I really enjoy this. I think it's been the best that it's been in a long time. Certainly better than Bendis's run, I think, and definitely better in the post Secret Wars, that brief era as well. I think it's been just a lot of fun. I think we're getting to see a lot more characters than we have in the past, which is really exciting. We still have Astonishing X-Men coming up, which I certainly have misgivings about. But bring it on. I intend to approach it with an open mind. Thank you all for listening. Like I said, I will try to do a little bit more on news related stuff for the movies, and we've had Instagram photos posted by Josh Brolin as he's prepping for his role as Cable. There's a little bit more trickling out about Gifted. I think the premiere for that is late September, or maybe it's early October. I don't remember exactly when that is, but that's exciting. And then cast photos, I think, from New Mutants. Not a whole lot of anything real earth shattering, but I'll try to do sort of a summary of those as well as the comics, because that stuff's always fun too. Please do check out the Wednesday Night Gentleman Multimedia Empire official podcast. No doubt continues to be the more coherent production. Again, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next month.